Okay, so I'm bringing you another game. I know I haven't casted anything in a long time. That's because just too busy with school and still playing some games. So I don't dedicate a lot of time to casting because I do like playing and I do have a lot of homework. But anyways, so I have, whoa, I made the game speed way too slow. Anyways, I have a game coming up here where I was playing against a player. I can't really remember his rank. Maybe I'll check it out at the end of the video. He was an okay player, but he made a lot of little mistakes that allowed me to win the game really easily. So this game I'm going to be able to show you some neat things like how to use drops, how to use ghosts effectively against Protoss, and of course some nukes, just because almost everybody loves nukes. So I did an early scout. One really weird thing he did is, I don't know if I was on this area at the time, but he pulled like almost all of his probes away to chase my SCV. Quite a waste of time, just for one SCV to have like 10 probes. So he lost some minerals there, of course, which set him back a little bit. And he's pretty good. He's got the pretty basics of, build your pylons and probes. But at the same time, he really stops building them right about now. He just sort of forgets that he can build them all the time. Like, right, okay, caught back up again, but you will notice he goes off and on. And of course, look here, using the high ground, abusing it. I saw those Marines coming in, because the stupid pathing always makes them walk right near here. So you put your Marines right at the edge there, automatically shoot cut. Get a couple of Marauders out. I'm doing a little bit of force firing. As you can see, my APM did spike a little bit just to be able to do that. And otherwise, I'm ticking away, getting some upgrades, because upgrades can make a huge difference. I'm putting down a bunker because I'm going to fast expand. He just attacked me. I don't expect him to be very strong. And I'm going to also camp outside of his base so that I can know that he's attacking. And of course, concussive shells are ready. So as you did notice, I was microing back and forth. I'll just rewind that a little bit so you can see how that works. It definitely is quite useful to do, because he didn't have any ranged units, so I was just abusing that fast. And just, see the Zealots can't even catch up to his concussive shells. And of course that Immortal's like, screw this, that army's too big. And once the Stalkers show up, I was sort of like, I don't need to have any units die right now, because I'll have to defend my base. So just sort of pulled off, and plus I had my expansion up now, and I had my, this little bunker thing. And of course, as you can see, he's really, well, I'm sort of slacking too on the building the SCVs, but he's, he was too. And of course, we actually got our expansions at similar timing. I got mine quite a bit before him, but I did warp it into a planetary fortress, which put me quite a bit behind, because I hadn't been building enough to do a worker transfer, because this was saturated. I didn't really have, I had like 2 extra SCVs, so it was really nothing for saturating. Sorry to miss that battle. That's the problem with going 4 times speed, but this was a long game. Now, I'm tried to use the fact that I was on the high ground here to my advantage. Force fields are pretty good at keeping these guys from being able to shoot in the back, so that was good for him. I really should have backed all my units further back up on here. And his army was too big, so I probably should have just run out. I didn't really realize it was that much larger than mine. And my macro had slipped a little bit, so I've got just loaded some units in the bunker saying, crap, I need them fast. He could rape my SCVs. I thought that's what he was going to do. Thankfully, he does not, because he sees the planetary fortress and he says, I am ignoring that thing. These things are insanely overpowered. He gets a few free shots, but he quickly runs up my ramp. I really didn't think about that. Should have put the units on the ramp to keep them in range of the planetary fortress. Now, one thing you'll notice, I did change my Q point to somewhere where his army won't be noticed. I changed it again because I don't want them coming out and getting picked off. I really need a bunch of units to come out at the exact same time and attack. You can also queue them to an enemy unit, and that will make them automatically attack that unit. Of course, my tank comes in here, so it gets in the action. I really should have been careful not to force fire that one, just because it did still have shields, so it wouldn't take as much damage. I get some Marauders out, and notice I did pull all my workers off. It really hurts on my income, but it's better than having them die off. Way, way, way better than having them die off. So I did hold that off just by, making sure that I was trying to keep some units alive. And, during that time, what was I doing? I was still looking at doing my tech up, still looking at, well, I didn't get more of this because I need what is those things called? An armory to be able to get further upgrades. Of course, a couple times I did get supply blocked, but overall, trying to make sure I didn't. And of course, now building a lot of SCVs. Got both rallied here because this one's fully saturated. And quite a few times during the game I did have to check on my Vespian gas, because there's quite a few times where either a worker got killed, or like this where I forgot to transfer some workers. And the other thing, I'm not really paying attention for observers. I probably should have done that just so he doesn't know what tech I'm going. Not a huge deal. But now if we look around, I've got 1-1 upgrades. What does he have? he has 0, and I've got 2 siege tanks on the cliff, so you're really going to notice soon. Right now, it's pretty even for resources count for units lost, but he walks into those tanks, and oh, just look at how soft those units got. Completely softened up, as well as he lost some units when I didn't lose any, so great deal for me, a really great thing. And he's finally getting an upgrade, but I'm getting more upgrades now that I've got my armory on the way. So, and I was also getting that Raven because of things like, you know, the observers and stuff, because I want to make sure they're not there. And of course I'm still macroing up, still building units, going pretty Marine Marauder heavy with a few tanks in for support. And then of course, what happens here? Why am I building Vikings? Well, I saw him chrono boosting out this, and I said, oh, he's going Colossus. I'll just get Vikings before he gets Colossi out. He doesn't get Colossi for the entire game. Why does he upgrade that? It does not make sense if you're not getting them. Anyways, as you can see, I'm now even getting vehicle attack upgrades. Really going for those upgrades using my defensive position, and of course expanding as well. When you get, you know, my minerals are getting quite high, so expanding. My army's getting pretty big, so, you know, I do slip a little bit on macros. You can see my APM's not massive. I'm like a 50 player when I'm, you know, into the mid-late game where you actually have a lot of stuff to do. Early game, I don't APM spam or anything, so it's pretty low. But as you can see later game, so back to production tab, he's going a lot of Immortals. Now that's actually a bad thing. Just because I'm going Marine Marauder, Immortals are good against Marauders, but when you're facing a big Marine Marauder ball, there's going to be Marines in there who are really going to help. And now the other thing too, notice I'm moving my army. I didn't have map packs. I didn't see his army coming in. Basically what happened is, I said I've got this expansion over here, and I want to be able to defend it a lot easier, so I put my units here, because they can easily run down here to defend these 2 expansions, and I want to put my tanks on this high ground so they're easily in position to defend this. Notice also, point defense drone. Big difference. Look at the units lost. Just pulled ahead of them completely in this battle, because 1, I have the siege tanks here, 2, I stimmed, and 3, I use that point defense drone. So a lot of little tricks you've got to use really early on. And now also I said, oh, I should be getting a Ghost Academy against Protoss. You pretty much always should, because EMP is just extremely hella unfair against Protoss. It's like, you just have to point and click and it blows up a bunch of energy and shields in an area, whereas Protoss, it's like, if they try and feedback you, so much harder. So anyways, look at my production tab, look at that. Getting upgrades, getting units, tons of macro, look at him. 2 Immortals. So even though he's doing a really good job at doing the whole economic macro thing, he's really failing at the rest of macro. So sadly for him, it's not going to win him the game. So hopefully, I haven't done any drops yet. No, I'm just about to get up to my first drop, so you can see. And of course, using a bit much APM, so some idle workers every now and again. But, you know, I am just trying to keep things. Okay, let's slow this down. And, oh, my drop doesn't go up quite yet, because I frickin' accidentally hotkeyed my dropship into my main group right here, so get moving back. And one other thing I do really stupid is, I move the dropship over here, and then I press 1, and I'm like, let's move into this area, and then my whole army starts moving. I see it on the mini-map, and I'm like, oh! So right there, you know, moving the dropship in, scan first, make sure there's nothing. Now, I notice he's going for robo. What you want to do is you want to take out effective buildings. So pylons sometimes are great, but they're really great when they're powering buildings that are producing units. So I noticed this. This is the most important thing. I am just going to rewind so you can watch this again, so you can see why this is such an amazing drop. I'm not trying to be, you know, cocky or anything, but it is a really great drop. Wow, I really rewinded way too far. Okay, so I'll be dropping in a few seconds. Okay, so there comes the scan, bringing my units in, and I just want to do some harass to keep him in his base. That's really the whole point of drops, and maybe take out some stuff. So, stimmed up, because that way you take out buildings a lot faster. So I've got 3 Marauders, stimmed up. Notice they started attacking that, but I said, no, I want to kill this, because it'll unpower this, and his Immortal will take that much longer to come out. And as soon as I see his army, I load up and run away. I did not lose a single thing in that battle. He had to retreat his entire army, and he lost 2 pylons, and I greatly slowed down his robo facility. So that is a good drop. That is a really good drop. I lost nothing, he lost a lot. And now notice, I'm still going upgrade heavy. What's he sitting at? He's sitting at 1 attack, 1 defense. That's it. And even his air has 0-0, whereas if you look at my army, I've got 1 and 3 and 2 attack for my vehicles. So this is why I'm going to really be owning these battles. Plus I've got ghosts mixed in here now. And of course, setting up here on high ground, when you get your high yield, it's a great place, because most of the time they will come through here. because they spawn here, most of the time they won't think, oh, I'm going to walk around, because they're afraid that that'll leave them vulnerable to attack too. Also, I've got Vikings here. I'm going to do some harass. Vikings can actually be really good at harass. I'm just going to snipe out the Robo Bay this time because I noticed the pylon back there and I was like, there's no way I can get the pylon this time. I didn't wait for his army to show up this time. I just took off. You know, I'm like, I'm not going to even wait because Vikings do take a long time to get up in the air. You really want to be careful and you want to do that. You do your harass and then you run away. He's got Void Rays, so my Vikings paid off even though he didn't go Colossi, which is great for me. But as you can see, just looking at the production tab all game, mine is like 3 times longer than him. Makes a huge difference in these games. And then let's look at income. Really, I didn't get a lot of harvesters this game. I really should have gotten a lot more, but in the end, it's really sort of made up for by the fact that I have a lot of orbital command centers. I have 2 orbital command centers, and I actually end up getting 3. But as you can see, if we look at the units lost there, oh my god, landslide, what just happened? So let's go back and take a look at it again. So let's wait for him to come in. Now, part of the thing he does is he doesn't scout this, which is really bad for him. He doesn't know my whole army's here. But watch for the EMPs. They're landing right on these immortals because they're hardened shield. Boom, EMP there, making sure I get as many as I can. And I actually EMP'd all of these Void Rays. You can tell